Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief. Why is this here?
I don't know.
Taj, what is this, Taj? Okay, there we go. Sorry, you guys. So we are here to inform you guys and provide some hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. We believe that through the power of love, that nothing is impossible as long as you have love on your side. I'm TJ Jackson, and with me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's going on, T?
Nothing much. Taj, you know you always say what's going on, T. Is that on by choice, or is that just habit?
It's in the script.
No, okay, that's what I was about to say. Is it a script thing? Is it because I know you're old school and you like certain rhythms?
Yeah, man. I have no idea. I didn't realize I did that, but okay, it makes sense.
Well, we are live, of course, on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are watching us right now, thank you so much for joining. You may very well be watching a replay. Haha, you guys thought I was going to say something different, but you may be watching a replay. And again, thank you for watching. We are live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to watch it live, and that way, when you leave comments and questions, it could be live for our guests. But what I was going to say is you may also be listening to us on a podcast. And yes, the Power of Love show by the D.D. Jackson Foundation is on all the major podcast platforms, everything from Spotify to Apple Music or Apple Podcasts to Google Podcasts. What others? Stitcher. What else is there, Taj? Oh, what an amazing help I got next to me. Anyways,
have one. I don't know.
Anyways, we are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it and we have learned from it. And we like to share our opinions and what we've learned in an attempt to help you get through whatever it is you are going through. Saying that if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Please do not just rely on us. It's very, very important. Now, as you guys could tell, this is just my brother and I. No huge production here. So there may be some mistakes, some jumbled words, but this is just realness. And that's the way we roll here on DDJF. All right. So Taj, first of all, I was going to ask you this off air, but I might as well just ask you now. Should we be ditching the intro and just go straight to being online? What do you guys think? Should we ditch this intro? I mean, should we just go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Taj with another full and eloquent answer to help.
Leave it up to them.
Okay.
My vote means anything if I say yes.
All right. Okay, stay focused. Okay, so Taj, the other thing we talk about is usually before we have our guests come on, we talk about our week.
Yes.
So I will start with you, man. And I know this is going to be a more in-depth answer, but how was your week?
Good. That's good. No, it was great. I traveled for the first time since COVID, basically since the pandemic. Went to Atlanta.
Todd, I'm sorry to cut you off because I do want to hear about this, but I was thinking, is this your first time out of state for a non-3-team manor in like a decade? Out of state?
No. Well, I went to Vegas for the Cirque show.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. Was that your first time for either a non-Uncle Michael or non-family thing?
Yeah.
In over a decade?
Oh no, I don't know.
I think so.
I don't travel, like I'm strategic. When I travel, and this was for a birthday. So yeah, it was. It takes a lot to get me out.
Yeah, I'm only saying that, Taj, because I'm proud of you to explore a bit. I know you're my older brother. Hey, you're in your fourth.
What kids are for? You got to do stuff for your kids.
All right.
I wouldn't have done it personally for myself, but yeah, it's always for the kids.
Sorry for interrupting. You went to Atlanta, and go on.
My mother-in-law's birthday, we celebrated in Atlanta because on that side of the family, there's some family there, and cool. So it was amazing. Like it was. I'm so happy I traveled. It's very hard with kids, on planes, so that wasn't very good. And I don't want to dog the airline, but it was a pretty tight seat airline,
Okay.
budget airline. But you know, those hours start adding up. But besides that, it was once we got to the destination, it was great. And her cousins are great. And Paloma, my mother-in-law, she enjoyed her birthday, which was on the 28th. And so it was an amazing trip. Like, I'm so happy that I went. It takes a lot for me to leave, as you know, California.
Cool.
So I'm happy that I went. That's
Yeah.
a very great guess, and I'm not going to comment.
All right, so we are
I
referring
love
to
yeah.
some Miss Silent Siren's comment on the screen,
Yeah.
and I'll just say it, she said Spirit Airlines,
Yeah.
LOL, and
I think
we
they
had
charge
another
you
guest
for breathing on that airline, so you better
charge
hold
you
your
for
breath.
breathing. Well, Todd, let me say this. I remember you telling me, I was like, what airline? Delta? What are, because Delta has a hub in Atlanta. And he
Yeah,
said
you
Spirit
told me.
Airlines, and I was like, oh, I said, you've never flown Spirit, have you? And he said, no, why? Should I, is there something I should know? That just tells you how infrequently my brother gets on a plane.
The people at Spirit Airlines were incredible too, like the stewardesses and the steward and all.
Yeah.
They're incredible. Like, so it's not. It was very tight, and with kids, it's a lot different.
I've never flown Spirit, but I've heard enough stories where I don't know. I'm going to try to avoid it. And Jennifer says Southwest.
Southwest would have probably been an upgrade.
I
It would have
actually
felt, yeah.
I actually love Southwest.
Yeah.
I used to love Southwest when, 20 years ago. And then I moved away because I didn't feel, when they started getting TVs on the planes, like Southwest doesn't have this. I'm done with Southwest. Then I went back to Southwest because they're so flexible and they just seem so chill. So I do use Southwest a lot, but
Yeah.
Southwest is a lot
Spirit
better.
would have been great for like an hour trip.
Yeah.
But 4 to 5 hours, that's when it starts feeling like, what is.
All right. Well, Taj, thank you for sharing about your week. I will talk about my week, and I'm not going to talk about anywhere I went or anything special. Well, let me say this, Taj, you know about my venture into standing desks. I
Yes.
think is this proper term. I tried it during COVID. I gained so much weight, you guys. I gained a good 30 pounds plus pounds. I think I hide it pretty well because I know people are like, you gained what? But yes, I have gained 30 plus pounds since COVID. And it was a lot because I was just sitting around and not doing much. So I spend several hours a day on my computer or, on the computer or at a desk. And I decided to give standing desks a try. I didn't think I would do so well, but I always felt worst case scenario, I could lower the desk, sit in it, and use it for several years, and it'll be worth it. The experiment and the trying would be worth it. Come to find out, I love it. I love standing. I could stand for 3 to 4 hours at a time, even more. It's in that way when it's time for me to watch a Netflix show or to sit down, I feel like my body's ready to sit, and it's very comfortable. I've earned it, but also, Taj, there's no extra sores in the lower back and stuff like that. So the standing desk has been helpful. And then I tried to take it up a notch, and I know we're taking a bit longer on this, so I'm sorry, but this is important. I took it up a notch, and I got a walking treadmill for under my standing desk. And I have been doing that every day for 200 minutes a day.
Wow.
I've been walking. And what's so cool is I'm not even realizing I'm doing anything. So for anyone who's looking into an exercise kind of idea or needs some inspiration, maybe consider that. Start with the standing desk. And sure, the investment may be $500 total for the treadmill and the standing desk, but I kind of feel it's worth the risk because if you do end up liking it like I do, it can really help you in your health going forward in life. So for me, I do 100 minutes at a time. The time goes like that. I have my monitors. I'm watching videos, answering emails, doing all that, and then I'll take a 30-minute break and go right back and knock out the next 100. And that ends up being 20,000 steps because it's a great fitness plan is 10,000 steps, but I'm doubling it right now because I'm not feeling anything. So it's been really successful for me, and we'll see how it goes in a month's time. So that's a little outlay on that. I know I said a lot, gave a lot of information, but I feel I should be talking about it because I'm in the first week of it, and every day this week I've done it. I already did my 7 miles. That's another way to say it, because it's 7 miles of walking today, and it's been very joyful. And no sweating, Taj, because I know you don't like to sweat.
No,
I'm
no.
going so slow, so it's no running. It's just chill. So I
Nice.
would consider that. All right, let's move on to the more important things, or why
Yeah,
we are here on the Power of Love
yeah.
show. We have a special guest on this episode of the Power of Love show. We welcome Bex Mastin. Bex Mastin is a public health professional, hospice volunteer, and founder of Greeting Grief, a grieving card company. Grief became a constant companion in Bex's life after her father passed away from liver cancer in 2012. Recognizing that his birthday was still an event she wished to acknowledge, Bex would buy and write birthday cards to him every year since his passing. But she often felt frustrated that most of the birthday messages were meant for living people and never felt that a relationship
Mm.
was seen by the greeting card industry. Bex created Greeting Grief specifically for people going through grief and loss, in hopes that these cards provide a space for people to process their emotions and connect to their grief. Bex lives in Philadelphia with her husband and 2 cats. You can learn more about Bex and her company, Greeting Grief, by visiting her website, www.greeting-grief.com. That is a hashtag, right? Yes. Let me show. Taj, let's confirm this now. This is a hashtag, right?
Where? No, that's a
Dash. That's a
mine
hashtag.
beside. Hashtags are the
All right. Well, okay. Bex will come on and hopefully
definitely not a
clarify
hashtag.
for those who are listening, but those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can obviously see what the website is. I thought my elder brother would know, but
Well, it's definitely
of
not a
course,
hashtag. So
I'm
I feel
disappointed.
better than you.
Okay. Anyways, yes, Bex lives in Philly with her husband and 2 cats, and you can learn more about her company on this website, www.greeting-grief.com. I'm just going to
Hyphen,
go
someone said.
hi. Okay.
Someone
You
said
can
dash.
also follow Instagram at Greeting Grief, all one word or one complete word, no hashtag there. And you can find her on Facebook at Greeting Grief Card Company, or you can also email her at greeting.grief@gmail.com. All right. That's enough of the intro. It's time to get Miss Bex onto here. Without much further ado, everyone, please welcome to the Power of Love show, Bex Maxton.
Yeah.
Bex.
Hi.
All right. So first of all, Bex, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining. Do you know, Bex, what this would be considered?
I call it a dash.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
know
think is not a hashtag. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
what? Oh,
Yeah.
is that what I said?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what you said.
Okay, I'm sorry. I will say this. I'll take that's a terrible guess. I was thinking of something else. Maybe I was just thinking of dash. I don't know.
Yeah. You
Okay,
said
so
hashtag.
Bex.
That's why I was like, huh?
Okay. Well, the charge you said it's you should have said it's definitely not a hashtag.
I did. You could rewind the tape, but it's all right.
All right. So I stand corrected. Bex, thank you so much for joining. You have 2 cats.
I do have 2 cats.
Always been a cat person?
Yeah, I have had my older cat for about 11 years now, and we just got a kitten in January.
Oh,
So
wow. That's a
we've
big-
been new to the 2 cat household. Yeah.
Wow. And how'd they get
Wow.
along?
So they get along pretty well, actually. But the younger one, his name is Morty, and my older cat's name is Bonnie. And Morty's only about 5 or 6 months old, so he just wants to play all the
the
time.
energy, in the world.
And my older cat likes to play for like 30 seconds at a time, and then she's tired. So it's a lot of like, play with me, and then she's like, no, I don't want to, and there's some hissing, but they've started grooming each other, so I think that's a good sign. Yeah.
Yes. Nice.
So yeah, okay. So I first of all, is the internet, is it me who's kind of in a microwave?
Yeah.
Are we good? It's just me. You guys are good.
You're not in a microwave. It probably just looks like you are.
Okay. Because of me, it's doing
You're
something
good.
crazy.
We're all
Okay.
good.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me just go right into it. First and foremost, Bex, sincere condolences to you and your family for the loss of your father.
Yeah.
Um, Always difficult. As you may or may not know, we lost our mother at a young age, and it's just difficult to say the
There's
least.
nothing like it.
What I love what you've done is you kind of created this really cool idea that now that I think about it, should have been done. It should have been. I just think it's cool. But anyways, let's rewind, and I'm curious to know what made you in the first place. What motivated you to start writing birthday cards to your father after his passing?
Sure. Well, I'm sorry for your loss also. I was 23, I think, when he
Mhm.
died. So I don't know how old you guys were, but it's hard when you're a young
Yeah.
adult
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
trying to figure that out. You expect your parents to be around for until, you're 60 or 70. So
Yeah.
um my dad died in January of 2012, and his birthday's in June. So I was still going through a lot. It had been less than 6 months. I wasn't, I was struggling pretty hard, and I wanted to do something normal. Like
Mhm.
everything that I had been experiencing was so out of the ordinary for me and so abnormal. I was like, his birthday's coming up. I just want to feel like a normal daughter who still has a dad and can celebrate his birthday. And I also thought, he died, but it's still the day that he was born, and I still wanted to honor that and observe that and celebrate that he had a life and he brought me into it and was able to share it with me. And so that was sort of the motivation for me to say I'm still going to do this, even if he won't get this card. I'm still going to write it to him.
Yeah. What does the tradition of writing a card to your father mean to you, and how did it affect your grief to continue doing it year after year?
Yeah, so I definitely don't think I was planning on doing it year to year when I first started. I was like, this is just something I'm going to do this year, and that'll be it, because I thought I would be done grieving after a year or something, and learned later that's not the truth. But um so it's been something that I've done every single year, and it's a really nice time for me to like check in with myself and check in with my grief. And um I think I've heard people say that after several years, your grief just doesn't become as pervasive or debilitating as it was in the beginning. And some people are struggle with that. They're like, does this mean I don't miss him as much, or his loss isn't important to me, or whatever. And so being able to sort of sit down at least once a year and write down my feelings, and check in with my grief is, a really great way of nurturing that memory with my father, and like keeping him alive in that way. I recently went through and read all of the cards chronologically, and it was really interesting to see. Um, it's a nice sort of like time capsule for my life. Like in 2015, I got married, and so I talked about like how he would have felt to be at my wedding. And
Mm,
a couple years after that, I bought a house, and he was a contractor, and so I wrote about like, I really wish you were around to like tell me how to fix the
mm.
plumbing, or like tell me how to fix this thing. And so it's been really interesting to look back on that, and see how I've been able to sort of continue my relationship and that dialogue with him through my life events.
Yeah. I first of all, another thing. First of all, it's brilliant. I think it's.
Thanks.
I really love that you do that, and on a personal level, because I think it's also therapeutic for you to get your feelings out. My brothers and I, we do music, and it's been one way. Even if it's not a song with lyrics about the loss of our mom or our uncle, we can express ourselves with instruments and in different ways with music. So we always encourage those who watch or listen to us to find something that can help you express things. And what I love about what you did is, I'm sure there may be another way as well, but you did a very, with maybe not even knowing it, you used cards and writing messages to your father on an annual basis as a really profound way. Because I talk about it all the time, how, I lost, when I was 16 when my mother passed, and it was obviously incredibly difficult. My mother was my world, and it was incredibly difficult. But what I didn't know at the time was how it would affect me later. I didn't even think about it, but when you have a kid, when you get married, when that child graduates, or finishes their first year of kindergarten, or graduates high school, or is on a sports team, that's when even now it affects me. And doing what you're doing as you go through life and the different stages of life, I think you're continuously being therapeutic and continuously getting your emotions out, which is, I think, very important. So another question I have, first of all, that was just amazing job. And I think that's super cool. Now, it was touched upon in your bio, Bex, but can you elaborate on the frustrations you experienced when you were trying to choose a birthday card for this annual tradition? And what did you find that was lacking in the greeting card industry?
Yeah, so most of the cards that you'll see at a pharmacy or card shop are all in present tense. They're all like, you are, a great father. You are 60 years old today. You are a great dad, things like that. And it just didn't feel true to me. Like, I remember checking out from the store and feeling like a fraud, or like I was hiding a secret, or someone was going to catch me and be like, you can't buy this card. Like, your dad's not alive. And so it really felt, it feels isolating when you're sort of in this aisle of cards that are all intended for a relationship that is not true to yours. It's like, to me, it made it seem like the only relationships that mattered are ones where the person is still alive, which is so not true. We still want to think about these people and celebrate them. And so, just anything that wasn't necessarily, and even, I think a lot of cards are designed for people who have positive relationships with folks, and that's not always true. My dad was he was an imperfect human, and we had a difficult relationship from time to time, and sometimes he didn't feel like a great dad. And so how can I where are the cards for the struggles? Where are the cards for the loss and the grief? And there's sympathy cards, that's sort of a different thing, but I was really, really not seeing myself and my relationship with my dead father in that aisle. Yeah.
Well, I should say this may be jumping the gun again. Cruz has great idea, but I wonder if she will show us samples of these cards. Do we have any samples, Bex?
These are my samples.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I don't know if I know this. Hold them up.
Yeah, let's hold it. Let's hold one up.
I hope that we can see the right way. Is it the right way?
Yeah, that's right.
This one says you'll never get older. So this would be like a birthday card.
Those are amazing. Yeah.
I've also got this one. This one's intended for like you were saying, if you have a child and wish that your parent or loved one had been there to see them. This one says, my children will never know you, but trust me, they will know about you.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you get like a pregnancy, you learn that you're pregnant or something, you can use that. This one I've got for weddings. It says, I wish you were here to walk me down the aisle.
That's great.
Got my little.
Yeah.
Okay. So www.greeting, GREETING-GRIEF.com. Not a hashtag. That was a slip of the tongue, by the way. I'm gonna stand there. That's a slip of the tongue. But if you guys want to learn more about these greeting cards, I love them, obviously, because I think so many people struggle with finding a way to get their grief and hurt out. And for some people who don't want to journal, who don't want to buy a journal book, it just doesn't go with them. We all can write a card, and it maybe the card is less intimidating. You don't have to feel like you have to fill out the whole sheet. You could draw a picture. You don't have to come back to it the next day. So for anyone who's struggling with a loss, give this a try. This could be the answer, and it could be a cool way to, like I said, at the very least, get some of your emotion out. Whether it's a father, you got Father's Day, Christmas, you got his birthday. It could be a spouse, Valentine's Day, anniversary, birthday. So I just think this is a cool, healthy way if you're struggling to get through what you're going through to explore. www.grieving-grief.com.
Yeah,
Now,
and just
Todd, did you have a?
Oh, I just wanted to jump in. A lot of people like they wonder what to do with the cards once they've written in them. And I wanted to offer up some ideas because I keep mine. I keep them in a box. I like to go back and look at them, but you could burn it. Like if you have a fireplace, you could throw it in the fire. I know people who have taken them to grave sites and left them at the headstone and sort of visited that person in that way. So even though you're not giving it to anybody, there are lots of different ways that you can use the cards.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Am I here, Taj, or am I gone?
No, you're here. You're here.
Okay, cool. Did you have a question, Taj?
Yeah, I did. I did have a question. Well, first of all, I was 21 when I lost my mom. And so it was something that, I mean, I love this idea in this way. I never even thought about a card in that. I think that would have been super helpful because for me that it was hard to express what I was going through in a way. And I'm a card person. I like to love cards, especially if it says what I'm thinking in that. But I'm going to ask you a different question in that way. What was there a lot of when you decided this is what you want to do because you saw that they weren't cards like this? Did you get obviously you probably got a lot of support, but was it scary for you to jump into that venture in that way? And what kept you going or motivated to continue?
Yes, very scary, continually scary. My business is still very new. I only launched my cards in June of last year, so I'm still sort of figuring it all out. And it's, I think I've never really done anything quite like this before. I work in public health as a full-time job, and sort of have taken my cues from other people and been told what to do, and I'm pretty good at doing that.
Yeah.
And so following my own idea was really scary and is really scary. And I think also because it's grief that is so stigmatized in our society and people are like, we don't talk about that. It adds another level of like, is this something I should be doing? Because people are a little bit, weary to jump into something like this. But I think what keeps me motivated is, from time to time I get messages from people who really see themselves in the cards or have a really good experience writing it or, something like that and talk to me about their grief. And it's, even if they don't buy a card, if they reach out to me and we have a conversation, I'm like, I have seen you, you have talked to, like, we have been there for each other, and that's worth it. I'm not trying to, become the next hallmark of grief cards. But it's those, personal conversations and ability to connect with people that really make me feel like this is worth pursuing and persevering with.
Great.
Your Instagram at Greeting Grief. It's on the screen for those on YouTube or Facebook who want to learn, but it's just the at symbol GREETING GRIEF. So you kind of touched on I would say, Bex, the most rewarding part of doing this. But I'm curious to know what's been the most challenging part for starting the business.
Yeah, so all of it.
Hmm.
I would not consider myself to be a visual artist, at least before starting this. I didn't really do like drawing classes. I did art, art classes in high school and stuff, but um I wouldn't say that I was like good at drawing. And so that was really what I thought would be the most difficult part. And once I sort of got my footing around that, it got easier and is still getting easier. Um, but I think all of the other stuff that goes into starting a business, like creating social media content, learning how to do taxes, like how sales tax in different states, and reconciling my books, marketing, like finding the right audience, all of that. I just did not realize how it's not something you do once and you're done. It's like continuous effort and work to keep it going.
Mm.
And it is rewarding. I feel very proud of what I've done, but it's like some days on my time off, I just want to do nothing instead of
Hmm.
doing my taxes for my business. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
understand. Could you have predicted this, that you'd be in this position if like maybe 5, 10 years ago that you'd be doing your own business?
Absolutely not. No. And
No.
if you go to my Instagram and go back to like one of my very first posts, it's really interesting. When I was little, I created a card company that I made these cards and I like sold them to my family members. I was like 7 or something. And I have a clipboard that I would write down my orders on, and I wrote Becky's Card Company on it. And I think my mom had shown it to me or something recently, and I was like, when I was 7, I knew, and I like gave up on this
Wow.
idea, and now I'm sort of circling back to it. It's kind of interesting how life works that
That's
way.
that's really, really cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. I find that fascinating and really cool. What is your
The
hope for
seed
the
the seed
business?
was in there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
started it. What's your hope for the business, Bex?
Oh geez. I think what I would love for this business is to have an inventory of cards where someone who is struggling with grief or loss can come to it and see themselves in it. You know, I think right now I have cards for the big holidays. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. But there are a lot of other cultural moments and events that I don't have cards for yet. And a lot of different types of relationships I don't have cards for. I mentioned people who don't have great relationships with their family members in life get more complicated when they've died sometimes. And so how that card's not necessarily going to be like oh, I miss you so much, like I wish I could tell you this or that. The message is going to be different. And I'd love to just have a space for other types of grief that aren't, you know, thought of as valid in our society, to have something for those people, and those relationships. I am just one person. I'm probably not going to create millions of cards. Grief is as unique as each person and relationship, but as long as I continue to make things that speak to people and help validate their grief, then that's my goal, that's my hope.
Uh, Jennifer has a question. She says, "Are they currently only
Oh,
in English?"
that's a great question. They are currently only in English. Um, I unfortunately I took French in high school, and that was about it. So, um, other languages and cards, would love to have them, but not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But we'll get there. I believe we'll get there.
I think you will too. I think it's great. Yours truly, April says, "I
Mm,
think it would be nice to put it in a floating lantern and let it fly toward the sky. It's
I
just
love
like you're
that.
sending it to them." That's a very cool idea. Yours truly, April. And then there was a question from Caitlin. She says, "If not too personal, so feel free if it's too
Hmm.
personal, Bex, but she wants to know, what do you do with the cards? I think you mentioned sometimes you burn them, but do you save them to read them later?
I do save them to read them later. These are all of the cards that I wrote my dad. Got them all tucked away, and I have the year that I wrote them on them, so I can sort of catalog them and keep them safe. And actually, this past year was the first year I wrote one to my grandfather. He died when I was 13 and was a pretty big figure in my life. And Taj, you mentioned, or TJ, you mentioned, like, coming back to the grief later in your life. Like, I've been thinking a lot about him now as an adult, and so I wrote him a card, and it's in that stack as well.
Wow, yeah.
Angie says, I think the greeting card is a great idea to stay close to your loved ones. And then I may be going in out of order here, but Sue has some great comments. It felt that death was final, but there was one before this one. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I think she wrote, I've always wrote to my mom, but I felt greeting cards didn't portray that. Yes, it felt that death was final, but the relationship will never die. And then Sue also says, grief never dies, it just changes shape. And then give your love out for those losses of the universe. Write it down and feel the love of those lost. Very cool. And yes, again, for everyone who's tuning in, check out, because here's my thing. I think we need to support people like you, Bex, so that this becomes more common. I never heard of that, a greeting grief card. And I think it's such a great idea, because you're right. If I went down to my local card shop or where I would get cards, everything's present tense or for someone who's living. And I think it's a great practice to write to those you've lost. So again, for everyone, make sure you guys go check out www.greeting-grief.com. And then there's an email address for Bex and company, and that is greeting, GREETING .grief, GRIEF, and that is at gmail.com. Okay, so Bex, we're going to switch gears just a bit, but you are a hospice volunteer, which is so incredibly admirable. What does this work entail as a volunteer, and what inspires you to get into this type of work on your free time?
My limited free time.
Yeah,
I've always been someone who's like sort of volunteering for this or that, and I think because of this company, in part, I was having way more conversations about my dad's death and about loss and grief in general, and sort of end of life issues. And my dad was in hospice at the end of his life, and it was supportive to my family. And I think, sort of being absorbed in the grief and death community has really made me feel like this is something that I want to do to give back. So that's sort of why I decided to do it. And what I do as a volunteer is really just hang out with people. People usually request a volunteer, and I go visit them once a week. We watch TV. I've watched a lot of old Clint Eastwood movies and TV shows with people. We play games, we play cards, we just talk. It's really just to be a companion to someone, and support them as they're, struggling with being in hospice and sort of facing the end of their life.
That's incredibly admirable, Bex. I don't know if I'd have the ability, the strength to do that. That'd be such
I bet
a
you could.
It seems so challenging and tough.
Yeah.
Taj, what were you going to say, man?
No, it does. Because in a way, you're there for that person at a time when they need you most. But at the same time, I'd be so worried about being attached to something again, especially having lost my mom and my uncle. It's like I have that fear of attachment to the point of knowing something's going to leave too. So I do commend you for your strength in that way.
100%. That's 100%. All right, Bex. We have a couple more comments to read and go through, but I know after doing hundreds of shows, you would think we would have our format perfectly ironed out, but we don't. We really don't.
Co-host.
With that said, Bex, let's do this. We always like to give our guests a kind of a final say or something important or not important. Either way, it's your choice to leave our community with. Either way, the most important thing for us for this moment is for you to have the floor. So around a minute, preferably, but if you need to go more, go more. This is your time to talk about whatever you want to talk about, your favorite TV show, your very favorite book, your favorite saying, what's going on in your life, something more important, whatever you want to talk about. What would you want our community to know?
I think, one of the things that I really try to convey through my company and these cards, and I think Stu actually in the comments had touched on this, is your person may not have died or may have died, but that doesn't mean the relationship is gone. You're still people talk to their loved ones a lot. I feel like I often hear people say, oh yeah, I find myself talking to my mom or my dad like when I'm cooking or whatever. And that is an ongoing relationship with them. It's not, death is a physical finality, but it's not emotionally or, lovingly gone in that way. And so the relationship is probably not what we want it to be. It's not the same as it once was. But we can continue to celebrate that person and celebrate, their life and how they impacted it and continue to impact it long after they're gone. And I don't want, I don't want people to feel bad about wanting to talk to their dad or wanting to talk to their sister or spouse or whatever, after death. And I really hope that I can help provide a physical safe space for people to do that.
That's amazing. You are doing it, Bex,
Yes.
and truly, thank you so much for contributing. I've mentioned this many times that when I lost my mother, I didn't feel like society had nearly enough stuff to help us go through it and to get through it. I was fortunate to have family and friends that really helped catch me, but many aren't as fortunate. And it's when we can supply them with some tools to get through it, it's very important. And I really appreciate what you're doing. And on behalf of my brother and the whole foundation, we support you and think very highly of you. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one last question to you.
Yes, Taj, go ahead, bud.
Bex, so this is an interesting question, I think. 5 years, 10 years from now, where would you like your company to be in terms of that? Like,
yeah. So as you can tell, my cards are in my office, and it's a very, very small business. I would love to be a resource in every hospice that works with folks. And when someone dies, they get a first year starter pack. Not necessarily that title, but cards that can support people through the first year of loss. Or there's a lot of camps for kids, especially who have lost parents, and like having that resource be available to them. And I want it to be as common as writing a Mother's Day card. It's not something that I think people often feel like they have shame around feelings, especially at like Mother's Day and Father's Day and stuff. And would love to just help this practice of like writing and talking to someone who has died be totally normal and acceptable. And I think it'll take a lot to get there, but I hope that, my cards will be able to contribute to that conversation.
Beautifully said.
All right. So we are going to wrap up today's show. But before we do, there's some super chats and some comments I want to acknowledge. first and foremost, sending our condolences to you, Janice, who says, I lost both my parents not too long ago. My dad, it has been 8 years, and my mom 1 month ago. Janice, we are all sending love and sincere condolences to you. Very difficult situation. Please support yourself with love and support, even if it's this community. It will help. We have Miss Silent Siren with a super chat who says, donating in honor of all of our loved ones. They're not lost. They've just moved to a different plane and continue to watch over us. Bless you for all you do. Thank you so much, Miss Silent Siren. And then we have another super chat from Akasha who says, thank you for using this platform. I have lost 4 people in 5 months. The last one was my uncle last Friday. I'm thankful for every moment I have with each one. Thank you all so much, from VA. Akasha, again, on behalf of everyone you're seeing, as well as the foundation, we send our love and condolences to you. What a challenging time you're going through. Just difficult. So we are there for you and supporting you however we can. Please let us know. Clarissa, who went through a loss of an amazing and difficult loss, I remember not too long ago, says, thank you all for your support. I so look forward to Wednesdays. Love you folks from Hawaii. We are sending you that love, Clarissa, and we are happy to be, and the community, we are all happy to be able to help you get through your situation. Lana, in terms of your card, says, we are complex. Relationships are so complex, especially within families. Thank you for this beautiful and tangible way through, way out of the grief of those of us left behind. So there's one. And then here's another one from Michelle who says, this is something genuine and so beautiful. Congratulations for sharing your work. Okay. And then there's one final message. We have another super sticker, we should say. That's from Bommy, my life, my hurdles, and my survival. So thank you, Bommy. But I did want to first acknowledge one final message, and this was from Sarah. She says, luckily, I still have my loved ones with me. We have to enjoy while they are here, or they are there. So I wanted to save this one last because I know there's so much going on in the world, and oftentimes we stress out about small things and minor things. But for those of you who have your loved ones with you, please remember that their presence and being able to talk to them is a valuable and something we should be appreciative of and grateful for. Do not take it for granted, as all 3 of us have lost a parent at a young age. And I think it's just important that for those of you who have your parent or parents, to acknowledge them and to thank them and to show them some love. I think that was it for me, you guys, Taj and Bex. But is there anything else you guys want to say before we let the community go? Nope. All
Thanks
right.
so much for having me.
You are more than welcome, Bex. Please don't be a stranger. You are more than welcome back anytime. We hope everything goes well. We will be supporting you. And again, for those of you who want to look more into Bex and her card, it's company. It's www.grieving-grief.com.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we are out. Thank you guys so much for joining. Please be safe and have a great rest of your week. Adios.